from the moment we plop out of the womb, we're acted upon by all the conventions, by family, by education, religion, peer pressure, and all that. We're acted on by enormous forces, and they appear to be all-powerful in that if we don't comply, it can feel as if we're not going to live. And so tremendous pressures are upon us to grow up into a particular kind of person according to where we've happened to have been born, and so on, and to hold certain opinions and so on. And in a lot of life, going against the peer pressure is almost like a death sentence.
I like to ask people, who in the room has never been in a trance before, and they will put their hands up, and you say, well, what about the trance you're in at the moment?
Well, the modern world subscribes to a particular myth of what the world is like, and it's about politics, it's about economics, it's about government, it's about warfare, it's about limited resources, it's about taking oil from the earth. This very kind of physical, material culture that we've all become embroiled in, which is really the imposition of a Western empire building system.
A crucial part of the work, whether one calls it the shamanic work or just the work of life, but a crucial part of it is this transformation. How can we, born into a state in which so much of our fears are now conditioned, are reinforced by the culture around us, how can we free ourselves from that? And one solution is to look our fear in the face. But I don't believe that in itself is enough. We need a power.
Faith is something completely different, because faith is the acceptance of the universe as a whole as a beneficent experience.
I feel that I am merely an agent, giving you some keys which have been given to me to pass on to you. These keys are to unlock doors out of your present prison, doors opening on new vistas, doors beyond where you are now. In general, the theme of the workshop is that each one of us is far greater, far more advanced, far more consciously aware, far more intelligent than each one of us conceives of ourselves as being. One problem in human existence is the tendency to repeat. There are endless loops, and one tends to repeat these again and again and again. One tends to repeat these again and again and again. One tends to repeat these again and again and again.
The world's become this really strange and, yeah, you might say unsavoury place.
If you split up the word belief, you be in the lie, and you get something nasty beginning with F. We all know what that is.
You know, we do the 9 to 5 in a dream. We come home, we watch EastEnders, we have our TV dinners, we talk to the wife for 5 minutes, we go to bed, the next day we do it all again. We get through the day on about 5% brain capacity, working to routine. We live our lives by routine. And that's important for the economy. That's how the world operates in the current dreaming that we have. We start expanding our minds and start thinking, wow, man, there must be more to life than this, because this is just crap. And all of a sudden, everything falls down, you know.
Belief is about mind control. And when you're taught to believe something, and somebody says, well, you must believe, they're saying you must be mind controlled. And if you're mind controlled, then it'll be very convenient for me because you and I will agree.
Gurdjieff said that to escape from prison, you first have to know you're in a prison. And I don't think you can tell anybody that. You can't say that that the world you are living in is an illusion. It's an hallucination. It's somebody else's dictate about the way the world could be. And then that person who created that myth has lost sight of it themselves as well. So lunatics have taken over the asylum here. Because just get laughed at.
It's about being really very, very clear within yourself.
You say, give up your work. There's this fear as well around that, you know, but how will I survive myself? Because the system exists on the exchange of money. So you either get kind of ridiculed or people shy away from it through fear.
The abstract fears, the fears about tomorrow, the fears about what might happen, the fears about the hypochondriac fears of all the diseases we can read about in the paper, the fear that what if I lose my job, what if.
It's an energy being that we have fed for so much time that it's taken a life of its own. So how can we do with this? I mean, we are bombarded by negative thinking, by fear, war images and all of that. How can we react to that? And I think we can do it in two ways. One is not feeding that monster anymore, so switching off, not reading the newspapers, just cutting it, not feeding that anymore. And instead focusing on an image of the universe as the universe is a loving place to be.
And it takes a lot of time as we go through life to dare to actually start to peel back the covers and see what's really there, and what's worth holding on to, and what really is just worth putting in the dustbin.
The problem in our culture is we have a kind of a fear that is not connected anymore. It's come adrift from any purpose it might have, and it becomes far from being something capable of producing adrenaline for effective response to threats to us. It's become a slow trickle of a very debilitating substance.
It's only by making a change, by really throwing ourselves into action, that anything new is going to happen. So Einstein said his definition of madness was doing exactly the same thing time and time again and expecting a different outcome at the end of it. And that's what we tend to do. We go to work in the morning in the hope that today is going to be a better day than yesterday, when we got the same problem on our desk when we get there. So you just have to make a decision at some point that you're going to change. Let's see where that leads you.
It is as if one is controlled by a set of loops of tape. On these tapes are recorded what one says on one track, what one feels on another track, and what one does on the third track. And these are endless loops, and one tends to repeat these again and again and again.
And so, working with shamanism, you will expand your consciousness, you will expand your awareness, you will create new neural pathways in the brain to other areas that you haven't been taught to use, and you will see the world in a different way. Now, where that gets you, when the 99% of the world is saying, you know, we operate in this way and you will obey our rules and our laws and our systems and our governance, is where the limitation comes in, because what do you do? What do you do with that information once you've got it?
Shaman.